So you want to have tawakul, or you want to foster tawakul. You want to have unwavering, steadfast, firm belief in Allah. Allah is going to give you. And I'm going to tell you why you need it. Because to believe is to achieve, right? You are going to see things manifest so fast into your life. And I believe this video won't be too long, as it is really that easy and that simple. And I'm going to tell you the only action step that you need to take. To trust something or someone, you need to know what that thing or person is. You need to know what they represent. You need to know their characteristics. How would I trust something or someone not knowing who they are, what they do, what they identify with, how they converse with me, how they interact with me? In Ramadan, I used to ponder and really think, how can I achieve tawakul? And I came to the conclusion, I already read the Quran. I already know what's in the Quran. I already have an understanding of who Allah is and what Allah promises to us. But how do I know the characteristics of Allah? How do I know how I interact with Allah? And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is all you need. Get yourself a journal. Write down the 99 names of Allah. I don't care if you can look this up on your phone. I don't care if it's online. You're not just going to read it once, scroll, and then be like, okay, I'm good. You're going to write this down on paper. You're going to read, and you're going to affirm to yourself until you believe. I went from making dua about this thing for 3 years to that thing, that opportunity, finding me in 48 hours as soon as I changed my mindset a bit. Ironically, there are 99 names of Allah. And so I would look at 99% of the problems or things in my life, and I would always find a name, a characteristic, an attribute of Allah from the 99 that would either comfort and ease my current situation or address the problem that I had or that I was trying to change or grow from. And what does Allah say in the Quran? Allah will not change the situation of the peoples unless they change what is within themselves. Let's go through one of these. I'm going to open up a page. Okay, for example, zehraugc, the provider. It's probably backwards on camera, but point is, let's say you want provision. Let's say you want to be provided for. Make dua like this, okay? God, you are a provider. You are zehraugc. That is what you promised to us, because what does Allah also say in the Quran? I never fail in my promise. Your word is word. Your word is firm. Your word is a promise. If you say you are a provider and you are generous in other names of Allah like Malikul Mulk, I know you're going to provide for me. And I want to ask you this, because what are we? We're Muslim. What is a Muslim? One that surrenders and submits their will to Allah. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. So what does that mean? You cannot seek, you cannot ask from anyone anything else, because God is one. And all good and all sources and all attributes belong to Allah. So you ask and you receive. What does Allah say in the Quran about provision? If you chase the world runs away from you. But if you strive and chase worship, Allah will automatically deliver those materialistic things and possessions for you. And the second one, something along the lines of, birds go out in the morning, they don't know if they're going to eat, but God provides for them, right? They still find their nasib, they still find their food. Think about it. A whole ecosystem and all of humanity is being provided for every day. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. You don't know what you're going to eat tomorrow for dinner, but you know you're going to eat. And think about your age right now. Have you ever been starved for a day in your life? And even if you have, okay, are you alive right now? Have you eaten every single day since the day you were born? Isn't that crazy? You don't think about your meal, but God still provides. I used to think about this. So I live in Canada, right? And this was during the summertime in June. We have a lot of squirrels here. And what do squirrels eat? Acorns. Where do squirrels find acorns? I was at the park. I'm seeing a bunch of squirrels. I'm like, where are they going to get their food? I don't know the how. I don't know the when and where, but God knows. And God is what? Zehraugc. I need you to understand, when you start changing the way you think, you project that into your reality. You create your reality. Allah says what also in the Quran? I am how my servant thinks of me. When you really reaffirm and try and persist in your dua, I'm going to believe, I'm going to persist, you are showing exceptional behavior. And I always say this, think exceptionally, get exceptional results. I've had people ask, like, how do you wholeheartedly just know? How do you just believe like that? And I'm going to say this. I grew up on the stories of awliyas and alims who thought and acted absolutely exceptional. And like I just said, because they thought exceptionally of Allah and their circumstances, they got and received exceptional results. For example, there's a story of a taxi driver who happens to have his tires popped. One of them gets popped. So he has to fix this one tire and he's driving to save up. But he's barely making ends meet. So at the end of each day, he goes home to his wife. And the wife is like, we have bills to pay this month. We have kids. We need groceries. Have you saved up enough? You know, is this something that you fixed yet? Because if he doesn't fix the tire that's popped, he can't drive. If he can't drive, then he can't earn. Each day he goes home at the end of the day and it's the same conversation. Do you have enough? No, just a bit more. Just give me a few more days. We're going to get this fixed. So here comes the last day. Right as he's about to get home, a lady stops him on his path and says, listen, I have 2 kids. They're hungry. I don't have a job. I don't have a husband. I have no way to make money and we're really hungry. So the man, looking at his last bit, he thinks, should I fix my tires or should I give it to her? And he decides to give it to her. Why? Because he'll find a way. Because God always provides. Goes home, wife is back at it with the same conversation. Following morning, someone calls their phone, right? Wife picks it up and he tells the husband, oh, someone called, they're going to come to fix your tires. So this man is like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, we're not getting this fixed yet. I don't even have the money. This man comes at the door and he says, I saw the dream of your phone number and the Prophet, peace be upon him, showed it to me and said, go fix his tires. So he pulls up to his door and he's like, I'm now obligated to fix your tires because, of course, I saw this holy dream. Actually reminds me of a verse in the Quran as well, where it says, the devil will test you with stinginess, but if you persist and you believe in Allah, something along those lines, God will provide, God will prevail. So do you understand what I'm saying? You think exceptionally and you believe in Allah. You have tawakul, you will manifest so fast. Everything will come to you for you. You don't need to know the when, where, and how. God will figure it out for you. And you really need to convince yourself, because I know all of us have limiting beliefs. But you need to understand reality is fake. Reality is not real, and you can bend quantum. And I made a story about this, so some of you might know what I'm referencing. But when you read the Quran and you read the stories of the prophets, where Prophet Musa threw his staff to the floor and it turned into a snake. When you look at the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and he got thrown into a fiery pit, but it turned into gardens, don't ever think that that miracle or that magic has ever left, and it still exists to this day. I recently saw a story of a man who said, and this is someone who also is super into spirituality and like these metaphysical concepts. He was at an event, he was drinking this like soda flavored, like soda pop. And so he finishes the can, right? He pops it down onto the floor next to him. And he just lays back for a split second thinking, oh, like this flavor was good. Let me go back in and get, let's say, raspberry flavor. He looks down as he's about to get up to get the next flavor, right? Because he just finished this can. He feels this force in this cup as he first plotted it down. But when he looks at it again, that can is full and has the raspberry flavor. Now, he was sitting there explaining how he was in shock. Like, this makes no sense in our actual world. Like, what kind of bend was this in the Matrix? But when I say these things exist, you need to be absolutely delusional. Because who does it hurt to believe? Who does it hurt to absolutely trust? No one. And if anything, it's doing you all good. Because if you look at all famous people and you look at their success stories in every interview where they're asked, like, you know, did you believe in yourself? Like, did you almost know? Did you see this vision? They always mention manifesting. They always say, I knew it. I believed in myself. I took action. I persisted. I didn't listen to what people said. I just knew I had this, like, such immense desire to achieve this thing that affirmed it. They visualized it until it showed up, until they achieved it. And these are people in Hollywood. These are directors. These are people with shows like opera. And these are people in the NBA. Every famous, successful person knows this. And I'm telling you right now, especially as a Muslim, you need to use this to your advantage. Back to Ibrahim alayhi salam. When the angels came down to him as he was about to be thrown into this fiery pit by his people for not believing in what they believed in, but he believed in Allah, and he was absolutely exceptional in the rest of his crowd and his nation at that time. The angels came down to him and said, make a dua, let us save you, right? He literally told the angels, you're in the way of me and God right now, right? He had so much trust and tawakkul and just absolute persistence, absolute delusion. It turned into gardens. It turned into gardens. You could explain this to like anyone who's not a Muslim and they would be like, yeah, like fairy tales. But as a Muslim, you believe that these miracles happen and things like this exist to our day. These are the words of a millionaire, which I will not mention the name of, but he said, you cannot try your hardest and the universe will not give you something in return, right? Because every action has its reaction. But in our case, the universe is God, and we know that. You cannot persist and try and do something and not get its return and not get something come back to you. God will always reward you for trying, for being exceptional. I'm telling you, I literally have proof for this. As I said in the first video, I had my grades changed after they came out. I made dua for 3 years, and the opportunity came to me in 48 hours after I started doing this. After I started believing and letting it go, I had so much resistance that it would just not happen. You will see the result. Assalamu alaikum.